The Giraffe Gazette by J A Barnett. FANGXIETY. Deep in Gloom Castle lived Thelonious Samphire, an unusual fellow, a squeamish vampire. For although he had fangs and a midnight black cloak, the sight of the red stuff would cause him to choke. "Oh dear," he would wail, "how awfully bleak! The thought of red drizzle makes me quite weak." While other bats feasted and slurped blood with delight, poor Thelonious shivered and turned deathly white. He tried sipping juice, beetroot and plum, but even that made him feel wobbly and numb. He'd swoon at tomatoes, collapse over ketchup, a squished polka raspberry, he'd need a full checkup. He huffed and he sighed as he lay in his bed. "I need to find snacks that don't fill me with dread." So whoosh he went flying, off into the night, searching for morsels that wouldn't cause fright. He found a fine bakery and stopped dead in the sky when he saw cakes and pastries were piled up high. He took a small bite, his knees didn't shake. He gobbled a tart and a big frosted cake. Now Thelonious smiles, no longer so pale, with a mouthful of biscuits instead of a whale. And deep in the night, in his castle so grand, he sips chocolate milk with a cake in each hand.
The Giraffe Gazette. The giraffes at the zoo have a newspaper too. They read it, each night, with a laugh and a chew. They gossip and giggle from up in the trees, with headlines like, "Top hats are swept by the breeze." There's a new trend in town. It's a long neck parade, where giraffes in top hats dance and serenade. Also, there's word of a hippo who snores. He's causing a ruckus. He's shaking the floors. The giraffes stretch their necks and they scan the whole page. Chuckling loudly, they're laughing backstage. So if you hear giggling at night, it's no threat. It's just the giraffes reading the Giraffe Gazette.
Dead Friendly. In Vinetown, where the moon casts a shivery glow, lived a zombie called Milo in a rundown chateau. While other zombies would groan and moan and give shocks, poor Milo preferred to just darn his old socks. He didn't like creeping or giving a fright, jumping from shadows or lurking at night. Instead, he baked muffins and knitted warm hats and played hide-and-seek with the neighborhood cats. "I don't want to chase folks or make children scream. I'd rather bake cookies and share warm ice cream. Why must all zombies be gloomy and scary? I'd much rather mix and churn my own dairy." The ghouls and the ghosts all let out a sigh. "No scaring, no howling. Oh, Milo, but why? There's no need to be scary just because we're dead. Try baking or knitting or dancing instead." He gave them all muffins and handed out hats, and taught them to play with the neighborhood cats. They slowly realized, oh, what a twist, that being quite friendly was hard to resist. So now on Halloween, when kids come to call, they don't run in fear, scream, hide or bawl. Instead, they find Milo, the ghouls and the ghosts, handing out muffins and sweets and French toasts. UFO! There once was an ostrich called Pippin O'Malley, who lived near a farm in a deep, hidden valley. Pippin was known both far and wide for a curious secret she struggled to hide. Other ostriches stomped the ground, but Pippin could do something rather profound. She would flap her big wings as soon as night fell and take to the skies in the moonlight's soft spell. But that's not just it. Oh no, there's more. She would sparkle and flash with an eerie green core. The owls would hoot, "What a peculiar sight! An ostrich that's flying and glowing at night!" The bats were amazed, and the geese stopped to stare, as Pippin O'Malley would glide through the air. One evening, as Pippin soared through the skies, an old farmer saw her and rubbed his old eyes. In a panic he stumbled as he reached for his glasses, tripped over a chicken and slipped in molasses. As he pulled himself up and got to his knees, Pippin was glowing above the tall trees. Just as he fathomed the ostrich up high, he pointed at Pippin and let out a cry. "Look, everybody," he started to crow, as he put on his specs. "It's a UFO."
Breeched. In a kingdom so grand, where dragons would prance, lived a jolly old king with fine underpants. Silk and golden with fine lace at the side. Whenever he wore them, he beamed with great pride. One bright summer's day, with a tournament near, the king cried, "I'll joust, bring my armour right here." His knights strapped him in, his crown, his lance, but forgot to check in on his underpants. With a gallop and charge he raced down the track, when whoosh came a breeze, and his breeches flew back. Up in the air his undercrackers took flight, floating like a banner in the clear morning light. The crowd gave a gasp, the queen gave a squeak. The jester fell over, too shocked to speak. The horses reared up, the knights tumbled aside, as the king's fancy bloomers flew far and wide. They landed, oh dear, on a wizard's tall hat, who frowned and declared, "Well, I won't stand for that." With a flick of his wand, the wizard took aim, and poof, the fronts just vanished in flame. Now the king wears trousers, all fastened up tight, with a belt and braces to hold them just right. But whenever he rides, he still takes a glance, just to make sure he's wearing his gold underpants. SIZZLERNAUTS. Deep in the stars, past Jupiter's rings, lived aliens craving the tastiest things. Not space sweets, not asteroids, not cosmic stew. They longed for a snack that the earthlings all knew. Sausages, sausages, sizzling and grand. We must take a trip to that faraway land. So they zoomed in their spaceship, silver and bright, and landed on Earth in the dead of the night. They sniffed through the streets with their noses so keen, past shops full of pastries and salads so green. Then came to a stop at a hot dog cafe, and danced at the thought of the sausage buffet. They gobbled up bangers, they scoffed every link, they dunked them in ketchup and snaffed them in sink. Bratwurst, chorizo and hot dogs galore, they munched and they crunched till their bellies felt sore. But morning soon came, and the sky turned blue. The aliens knew they had bidding to do. Back to their planet they must fly away. But they left a note in the hot dog cafe. "Dear Earthlings, beware. We'll be back very soon, for your bangers are out of this galaxy's moon. So stock up your fridges, your grills and your pans, for we'll crave them again. We're the biggest fans."
FIGDORI MUDBORNE. FIGDORI MUDBORNE was a goblin, quite sly, with a wart on his nose and a gleam in his eye. A cantankerous old troll who'd eat all he could find, from smelly old slippers to raw bacon rind. He'd sneak through the forest, quiet as a mouse, searching for bugs to take back to his house. He'd chew on rats' tails and munch on slug pies, then stick out his tongue to catch fat, buzzing flies. FIGDORI loved snacks, no matter how vile. He'd guzzle worm jelly with a beaming smile. He'd snuffle back cow poo with a squelch and a slurp, then let out a disgusting, loud, smelly poo burp. If you're ever in the forest and you catch an awful pong, it may just be FIGDORI devouring something wrong. TIMETANGLE. Old Father Time had an awful shock. He looked at his watch, but it had no clock. He checked the big hand, it wasn't there. The little one, too, vanished into thin air. I must fix the time, oh, what a plight! So off he went, running into the night. He tripped on a second, or maybe a third, and landed face first in a clock face of curd. A minute later, or maybe 3, a cuckoo bird giggled and chirped. Look at me! The hours all scattered, the days ran away, and Sunday got lost in the middle of May. Stop all this nonsense, Time gave a long groan, but Monday was snoozing and wouldn't get shown. Tuesday was late, Friday was fast, and Wednesday complained, I just want to be last. The weeks were all wobbling, the years did a spin, and Time shook his head with a terrible grin. He pieced it together with glue and some chime, and that's how we got the first wrinkle in time.
Off the page. One day on a page, with a quick scribbled line, a stick man was drawn. His shape was just fine. With a head like a circle and arms straight and neat, 2 little stick legs and the tiniest feet. But then, oh my goodness, what a surprise! The stick man blinked and opened his eyes. He stretched out his arms, gave a wiggle and spin, then hopped off the paper with a mischievous grin. Out through the window, past bushes and logs, he darted through meadows and leapt over frogs. Into the forest, so deep and so wide, where creatures all gasped us, he ran inside. The squirrels all chattered. "Why, what do we see? A man made of sticks? That's strange as can be." The rabbits just giggled, the fox gave a stare, while birds swooped around him, amazed he was there. Through summer and winter the stick man played, with hedgehogs and beetles and deer in the glade. But back on the paper the artist still drew, wondering where her lost stick man had flew. So if you see footprints, thin, twiggy and small, deep in the forest near trees big and tall, you might find a friend with a smile so high, a runaway drawing who never went dry.
Bumble's Sale. I met a bumblebee one day, buzzing along his merry way, with a little pouch tied up with string, and a sign that said, "For sale, my sting." "Good day," I said. "Where do you go?" He gave a buzz and answered slow, "I'm off to the fair. Now that it's spring, I'm going there to sell my sting." "Sell your sting?" gasped, eyes wide. "Yes, indeed," he said with pride. "You see, it's sharp and quite a thing, but today it's up for sale, my sting." "But won't you miss your sting, my friend? Why sell it? I just can't comprehend." Bumble buzzed and gave a wink. "It's just a sting. What do you think? I've used it time and time again to guard my hive and cause some pain. But today I feel so light and free, I simply don't need it, don't you see?" The Great Egg Scape. In a posh French restaurant with chandeliers alight, 6 eggs in a basket, all crammed in tight. One suddenly wiggled, and then with a crack it rolled off the table and didn't look back. The little egg cried, "I'm free! I'm free!" And he started to dream of the egg sanctuary, where eggs go to retire and avoid being fried because the thought of a poaching he couldn't abide. He rolled through the kitchen, past pans and the stove, dodging the chef, through the waiters he wove. He burst through the back door with a newfound belief, the wind in his shell and the pavement beneath. He hopped over puddles and dodged busy feet, chasing his dream down every street. "I'll get to the sanctuary, I'll make it, you'll see. No scrambling or poaching or omelette for me." But trouble was brewing. A fox on the prowl saw him rolling and gave a loud howl. "Stop right there, little egg, you'll make a fine treat." But our little shelled hero just wouldn't be beat. The fox made a lunge, but the egg jumped above and gave the assailant a scrambled shove. The fox went sprawling in a messy display, and our yolk-scented friend went off on his way. He rolled through the parks and zipped down the lane, dreaming of peace in his little egg brain. Past the grand gate, up over the bridge, determined there'd be no more basket or fridge. And then in the distance he saw with much glee his utopian prize, the egg sanctuary. At last it arrived, so shiny and bright, his heaven, all bathed in a soft golden light. But just as his smile lit up his chuffed shell, our oval-shaped hero stumbled and fell. He rolled and he rolled, then flipped high in the air. Will our shell-laden champion be beyond repair? No way, "Not a chance," he started to utter. "I've not come all this way to be smashed in the gutter." So he flipped one last time so his feet pointed down, and landed quite safely and not on his crown. And so he decided, with a grin and a smile, that the trip to retirement had been truly worthwhile.